I sound like such a nerd. Here are all the books I read in January. But first, let's talk about the readathons that I did this month. I participated in 2 January readathons. Pop Culture Readathon. This is all about pop culture, and this round was about music from the 90s and 2000s. There were 5 bingo boards, and I did 4 out of 5. There was a bingo board for women in pop, rap, R&B, rock, and the one that I didn't do was all about boy bands. And that one just, the prompts didn't fit into my TBR well. And I also did 4 Nations Readathon, which is inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender. And basically, you join a nation and read different books to go up in levels in that nation. And if you do a lot of rounds of the readathon, you can eventually join every nation, complete every skill, join every group, and become the Avatar. This is my first time doing the readathon. I started with the Fire Nation. I got to level 3 and joined 1 group. I wanted to do more than that, but I'm happy with it. The information for both of these readathons will be in the description. Now let's get into the books I read. The first 2 things I read were both short stories. The first one was Choke by Suyi Davies Okungbawa. A night of food, fun, and festivities quickly turns sour. But what else can you expect when your ancestors tell you that you're going to choke? I gave this 4 stars. Since it's so short, I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I did enjoy it. It intrigued me throughout. I do wish that we had gotten a little bit more from the ending though. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Scotty Doesn't Know, pick a book at random. And for 4 Nations Readathon, this got me to level 1, a book with a red cover. The second short story is The Sufficient Lost Protocol by Kimi Ashingiwa. When an alien entity sneaks aboard a corporate spaceship with no motive except to sabotage the mission and murder those aboard, the commander launches an investigation, despite knowing that the real danger is not the one picking off her crew. I gave this 4.5 stars. I always love sci-fi horror and morally great protagonists, and this had both. And I was very engrossed in the story. But I did find it to be a little bit confusing sometimes. If not for that, it could have been a 5-star read. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits C'est La Vie, a new to me author. Thong Song, a favorite trope. Take Me There, an illustrated cover. And The Crossroads, a book that deals with death. And for 4 Nations Readathon, this got me to level 2 because it is a book that is under 100 pages. Next, A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is a reimagining of the story of Dracula's brides. It's gothic and it has vampires. That's all I need to know. So right before picking this up, I watched the movie The Invitation. They are both about Dracula's brides. And it made me really want to read this. I also gave this 4 stars. And the writing in this novel was beautiful. I was hooked from the first sentence. And I also love that the book took place over centuries, but it did not feel like it because we're reading from a vampire's point of view and it don't seem like that long to them. But there were little hints of mentions that it's been hundreds of years, so I found that to be really interesting. This book had polyamory, but the thing that I disliked is that Dracula just had to make it weird. There are sister wives, and of course he had to say stuff like, kiss your sister. That makes it weird. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Wannabe, an arranged marriage. It's a little bit of a stretch, but Olga did not have a choice in the matter anyway, so I'ma count it. Come Clean, a book set during winter. Barbie Girl, flowers on the cover. The Boy Is Mine, Why Choose, a book with polyamory. Numb, a gothic horror. And Teenagers, blood in the title. And for 4 Nations, this was one of the prompts that would help me join the Rough Rhinos team. And the prompt was to read a book with your favorite weapon on the cover, and this has a sword on the cover. I sound like such a nerd. I am such a nerd. Against the Currant by Olivia Matthews. This one is a cozy mystery. A woman opens up a Caribbean bakery, and on opening day, a rival baker comes into her shop, causing problems. So of course, they get into a big argument. Fast forward to the next day, and dude is dead. And our main character is the main suspect. If she wants to clear her name, she needs to find out who the real killer is. This does have trigger warnings for bullying and suicide mentioned. Guess what? Another 4-star read. This had interesting characters. I was very interested in our main character and her whole big family. I loved the infusion of Caribbean culture, Grenadian culture to be exact. And the mystery in this kept me guessing. Like, I had lots of different thoughts as to who it could be. I did think that there were too many side characters though. I couldn't keep up with everybody. I just got kind of confused and couldn't remember who people were. But other than that, I enjoyed it. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Milkshake, a book with food on the cover, and Mr. Brightside, a cozy mystery. And for 4 Nations, this was the other prompt that I needed to join the Rough Rhinos group, which was to read a book with 2 R's in the title. Once again, I sound like a huge nerd. Always. That's okay with me. Waiting on Wendy by Tanzania Glover. I talk about this a little bit more in my Black Romance Recommendations video, so if you haven't watched that, you should definitely go check it out after this video ends. This is about a man who finds out that he only has 6 months to live, but he gets a crush on this waitress, and he's asking her out, and she's like, no, I'm sorry. I need to take this time to focus on myself. I'm not trying to get in a relationship right now. And then he says, okay, bet. I will wait for you. But he only has 6 months to live, so how long is he gonna be waiting? I gave this 4 stars as well. And yeah, this was just really sweet and adorable. It was slow burn, which I'm not used to, but I really enjoyed it. And the cover is amazing. I didn't like one thing though. Wendy made a super selfish decision in this book that I thought was unforgivable, but that kind of dampened my enjoyment a little bit. But I did enjoy it. For Pop Culture Readathon, this hit Say My Name, a name in the title, That's the Way Love Goes, an independent Black romance, All the Man I Need, a book with a Black man on the cover, and You Oughta Know, a comfort author. This is where things start to go downhill with my enjoyment of my books this month. So if you're enjoying this so far, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn that notification bell to make me feel better about these books that I'm finna have to talk about. The Last Minute First Lady by Tania Montfort. Cassian is running for governor, but because he's single, voters do not trust him in office. Jolie is a journalist who needs a big story in order to get a promotion. When Cassian is questioned for the millionth time about rumors regarding his love life, he reveals that he is in fact engaged. Why y'all being nosy? But he is not engaged at all. He made it up to get them to leave him alone. So when the perfect fake wife shows up, Jolie of course, they both see an opportunity to benefit from a fake marriage. But will their feelings stay fake? There are trigger warnings for a car accident that resulted in lots of injuries and also death of a parent. I gave this novel 2.5 stars. This had very well developed characters. Whether or not I liked those characters, we will get into in a second. There are also a lot of subplots going on in the story which kind of took away from the romance. Jolie is working on a big story. Cassian is working on his campaign. They both have like family things going on. And I really enjoyed those subplots. I was very interested in them. But the romance did take a back seat. However, I am not upset that the romance took a back seat because I did not root for the romance. The characters really did not have good chemistry to me. Like they were saying, you know, oh, I love him. Oh, I love her. I couldn't tell. And I also did not root for the romance because Cassian is trash. He started off fine, but by the end of the book, I hated him. He was so self-centered. He did not care about Jolie's feelings at all. All he thought about was how everything affected his campaign, how everything affected him, and he let people talk to her any kind of way. There was a guy that worked with him on his campaign that was just constantly talking to her crazy, and Cassian did nothing. He was like, "Oh, stop, guys. Don't say that." And that's it. That's it. If my man is letting another man talk to me some kind of way, he got to go. He did do like a good amount of begging and groveling at the end or whatever, but by that point, I didn't care. I feel like he had too many character flaws. Like, it wasn't just like he made a mistake. He was not a good fake husband. So yeah, if it wasn't for the interesting subplots that I was interested in, I probably would not have finished this book because I didn't love the romance, but the subplots saved it for me because I liked Jolie and I cared about what was going on in her life, and she deserved better than him. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Hit Me Baby One More Time, a book with an ordinal number in the title. Crazy in Love, family drama. California Love, set in my home country, state, or city. Wifey, a book that includes a wedding. And OPP, a book with multiple point of views. Next book is The Black Queen by Jamada Emil. This is a young adult mystery. Nova Albright was the first black homecoming queen at her high school, but now she has been murdered on coronation night. It's now up to her best friend Duchess and the girl who was accused of her murder, Tinsley, to find out who really killed her. There are a lot of trigger warnings with this. There's lots of racism. There is a relationship between an adult and a minor. Child molestation and rape are mentioned in this novel. So if you choose to read this, please read with caution. I also gave this book 2.5 stars. Now, I did love the mystery in this book. I was so engrossed in it. I had to know who killed Nova and why, because there were just so many suspects, but also not so many suspects that I got overwhelmed. And I found the reveal to be very satisfying. I did figure it out. My number one theory was correct, and I was very, guess I can't say happy about it. I mean, a girl did die. I was happy that I was right. And I also loved Nova, who is the queen who died. She was only in the novel for a short time because she was murdered pretty quickly into the book. But what I did see of her, I really liked her. But what I will say about this book, we need to stop centering, and in this case, victimizing racists in our work. I had the same problem with The Weight of Blood by Tiffany G. Jackson. This novel was a dual point of view. One point of view was from Nova's best friend, Duchess, who just wanted to find out who killed her best friend. And the second point of view was from Tinsley, who was accused of Nova's murder. And Tinsley is racist. And she had even more point of view chapters than Duchess. So basically, she was the main character of the story. We had to be in the head of a racist for more than half of the book. I understand that the author was trying to show that Tinsley is a product of her environment. Her upbringing was very racist and she tries to do better. But her better is not good enough because she still has several racist moments in this book. So I definitely did not want her to literally be the main character. But I did enjoy the mystery aspect. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Believe, a book with a royal title on the cover. You Make Me Wanna, a book with unrequited love. What a Man, a debut author. And Smells Like Teen Spirit, a young adult mystery. And for Four Nations Readathon, it fit one of the prompts that would get me to a level 3. And that is a book starting with the letter B. And we have Shot Clock, Naomi and Sin's story by M. Monique and A.J. Davison. After leaving the man that she thought that she was going to spend the rest of her life with, Naomi decides to just focus on herself and her pro basketball career until she locks eyes with a man named Sin. Even though she straight up told him, "I don't like you," he keeps chasing her because he can just tell that she is the love of his life. Will Naomi ever let love back in? This book has trigger warnings for infertility and miscarriage. Now, this book was hilarious. It had me cracking up out loud consistently. It's something about urban fiction novels that's gonna make me laugh every single time. I never laugh as much as I do with any other genre. This is a series of 3 books, and in this first book, we meet all 3 of the men that the series is going to follow. But the men in this novel were so disrespectful to women consistently. And one of them was also disrespectful to a gay man. It was bad enough when they were calling women females, right? That's bad enough. But they took it a step further and were consistently calling women out their name, both in general and to particular women's faces. And the man that is the star of the second book in the series also made a very disrespectful comment about a gay man. The disrespect was just way too much. I couldn't even root for the romance in this novel because dude was so disrespectful. Even though he was not disrespectful to our woman main character, if he can talk about other women like that, you think he ain't gonna talk about her like that as soon as he get mad? It was just, the disrespect was too much. It was too uncomfortable. For Pop Culture Readathon, this fits Try Again, a book by multiple authors, Gin and Juice, a black urban fiction novel, and 1 Minute Man, Clock on the cover. And for 4 Nations Readathon, this was the second prompt that got me to level 3, which was to read an old favorite. I don't reread books, so I stretched this prompt to read an old favorite genre, because in middle school I read a whole bunch of urban fiction and I kind of fell off reading it. So I'm happy to be revisiting the genre. I think I want to read more soon, but not this. What was your favorite book that you read in January? Make sure that you let me know in the comments, or just leave me a red heart to let me know that you made it this far in the video. And make sure that you check out my February TBR so you can see what I'm reading this month and what I'm reading for the Culture Readathon, which is a readathon that I host that celebrates Black books and Black culture. And let's pray that this reading month is way better. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.